I want us to listen to some voices of different leaders, parliamentary leaders from Azimio. Watch.
Ati wewe unaitwa Ikulu. Atakwenda njoo Ikulu, atuongeje mambo ya maendeleo. Mwende ukienda kule, hapo alofu 50, alofu 100. Anasema wewe mimi nilienda kuongea mambo ya maendeleo ya constituency yangu. Bure. Uongo.
Kama wewe ulichaguliwa kwani huna wabunge wa kutosha. Lakini kama umenyakua kiti kinguvu, unajua bunge imejaa Azimio na ndio umeanza kutoa pesa na kununua watu. Utanunua wabunge lakini huwezi ukanunua hawa wananchi wote.
Mkenya mwenzangu, simama na msimamo wa kuokoa nchi yako na usikubali kutishwa na yeyote.
Alianza na UDM. Sasa ameingia katika Jubilee. Anaingia pia katika ODM. Kuiba nini? Kuiba wabunge. Ili aweze kubadilisha katiba ya Kenya.
All right, so different names for what has been happening. Kuiba wabunge, kununua wabunge. Honorable Wandeto, what is going on? Who has been bought? How much is it?
I think the allegation of people being bought, I can't remember whether it was Mbui who raised it and you actually asked him to name who and how much. Maybe he is still yet to respond to that. However, I think the president is on a mission. And he's on a clear mission to unite the country. He's been at this for quite some bit of time because we realize that the challenges facing this country, we all need all hands on deck, as they say. And according to me, I don't think that anybody has been bought. I think what the president has invited is people to come to our side as Kenya Kwanza, and basically work with us to start addressing some of the pressing issues that are facing people in this country. If that would be by way of ensuring that that we are able to marshal the numbers in Parliament to basically support the government agenda, by way of ensuring that we have more foot soldiers down there, basically explaining the government agenda, if that would be by way of ensuring that we have more minds and more ideas, coming from across the political divide. Because like I said, the problem at hand is enormous. Mm-hmm. We need every inch of brain to ensure that as a country, we are able to move our people forward. So nobody has been bought. I think it's just basically putting the country together. And when you're in a crisis, Sam, this is a natural thing to do. We, as a country, we need to calm down the political temperatures. We need to start talking, not shouting, talking in low tones, and agreeing that this is where we need to do, this is what we require to do. And that is why it is unfortunate to see what is happening.
But when you do that, what do you do to the space for alternative voices?
And actually what we are saying is that those alternative voices are very, very important. And unfortunately what we are seeing, it is not alternative voices. It is basically people who have, first of all, rejected the will of the Kenyans, because Kenyans went to the poll on 9th of August and basically expressed their will. They put in, they voted for their president. That was later validated by the Supreme Court. 5 months later, as some sort of an afterthought, now you see all this whole thing of, of people trying to reject the government and then trying to basically mix political issues with economic issues, because you can see the real agenda of what is going on, Sam. Mm-hmm. It is basically to say, it's basically to try and invalidate the will of Kenyans, by saying that, President William Ruto is not, the legitimate president of this country. The other issues that they are bringing for UNGA and trying to tetea Kenyans, I can tell you for real, and anybody with some measure of intelligence will be able to decipher quickly from those rallies. Those others are side shows. The main show is fighting the government.
You can separate politics from real agenda.
Yes.
So at the floor of the House,
yes,
you have the minority and the majority.
Yes.
So when the majority continues to shrink the space of the minority, what does that do to a democracy from what you know?
I don't think, let's assume, Sam, on 9th of August, when Kenyans went to the poll, Kenya Kwanza and its constituent parties got maybe 270 out of 299 seats. As a hypothetical example, the 29 would still make an effective opposition if they are focused and if they know their role in parliament. That is what we are basically asking. I don't think it's about the quantity or the number of people in opposition. It is about the voices of people like Jared here and the voices of my brother here, Robert, coming in and basically being able to offer a constructive criticism to the government.
It really matter even when the majority are not as majority with so many numbers?
Well, for the majority, because of voting, the majority has to be an absolute majority. For us to make it easy. But what we are trying to say is that here, we do not want to show like there is something structurally wrong with Jubilee members or maybe members of the other constituent parties who have come to Kenya Kwanza basically to basically come and support the government agenda. And also remember, Sam, when you go to parliament, irrespective of which side you belong, you vote with your conscience.
So why wouldn't the majority side leave it to the members' conscience?
The people who have come because of their own conscience. That's why Jared has not joined. No. He may see the light and come.
Can I weigh in on this?
You will.
Yes.
Tell me about, how did you make this happen, especially the members from Jubilee?
Well, the members of Jubilee, according to what we have seen, they basically approached the president. And they want to work with the government. Actually, the president has not been going for any of these members. Even David has said here rightly. No. It is not the president who went for him.
David, I'm talking about members of the Jubilee.
Yes.
We saw the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, making some meetings and imploring, even saying that wale ambao walikuwa wamepotea tuwarudisha nyumbani. Do you also want to stand here and say that actually these members are the ones who approached the president?
Yes.
Or there are some other plans that are being made?
No, they are the ones who approached the president. I don't think the president has been on any open fishing expedition looking for members. Basically, it is members of parliament who are realizing that for us to be able to move this country forward, they are basically seeing the light, that we need everybody to come together. And basically, they will probably send emissaries. And it is, the president has said those who want to work with us, they are welcome. So if that process starts, then maybe that's when we may have seen the meetings with the deputy president. But I do not think that the government is out there trying to wreck opposition as it is being portrayed. I think it is the members of the opposition who are coming, and we are not trying to ask them to come and basically stop being opposition or not to criticize the government. We are basically telling them, come and we work together. And if David and Robert sees the light tomorrow, they are welcome.
So they're members of the opposition, and the others are?
The rest are members of the government, of the majority side.
Yeah, member of the government.
Yes, members of the majority, as they say.
Some.
Honorable Chair, you will. I'll give you an opportunity.
Yeah.
You said that you're the one who took yourself to the Kenya Kwanza administration.
Yes.
And the other question is about how much money has been going around to bring MPs on board.
Yes.
Because there's a claim here that members of parliament were bought.
Yes. Yeah. First of all, I want to tell you this. There are reasons why people move camps. Sometimes very strong reasons why people move camps. But the only reason I'm talking about is someone was paid. And I was going to ask shortly, after I answer your question, another very important question. Look, I was in Azimio, and I had to spend a lot of resources defending myself from Azimio in Ugenya campaigns. As in, I'm in Azimio, but the whole Azimio brigade comes in Ugenya that I don't win my seat back. And so sometimes I hear that, I used Raila's name to win elections. In 2019, for the first time in the independence Kenya, there was a by-election won in Luo Nyanza by a party that was not dominant for the first time, 2019. I wasn't in Kenya Kwanza, I was in a party called MDG. Won the election, came back to parliament, joined the NASA side. Then when the war between Uhuru and Ruto came up, and they were whipping members of Ruto's side from their committees from nowhere. NASA claims that, Ochieng is not loyal to us, Ochieng is not part of us. And I was gotten off committees. For 2.5 years, I had no committee because of NASA. When the elections came in 2022, my people said, David, we want you to work with NASA. I mean, with Azimio. So I joined Azimio. But the whole period, one time, one campaigner comes and says, that small party of Ochieng, hiyo ni nyumba ya nyasi. Itakana ivunjwe mbali wacha kusumbua watu. And we are together in Azimio. The next time, the Azimio party leader comes and says that, hiyo chama ya Ochieng ni madoadoa. In my own constituency, 2 weeks elections. So I have my reasons for having left Azimio. I want to make that very clear. And I can tell you this, when I asked the president to join him, he told me, no, you can't join. We're going to burn your house. I told him, let them burn it, I'll build a better one. I forced myself into...
That is President Ruto.
Yes, I forced myself into Kenya Kwanza. I can tell you that for sure. Because they thought it was going to be wrong for me to join them. And so the day I went to join Kenya Kwanza, I can tell you this, I personally used $5 billion of my personal money to carry the team I went with. Because I had MCAs that I had to bring from Busia. No one, and I can say by the Bible, no one paid nobody nothing to join Kenya Kwanza from MDG team. And so these things you see here is what makes Azimio and the opposition all over time hemorrhage. Because they don't listen to what their leaders talk about. And I can tell you this for sure, that we can't be appropriating and reprobating at the same time. It can't be fine for Kalonzo to join Kibaki in 08 to form government. It's right at that time. That Raila can just wake up one day on the 9th of August, of March, join Uhuru Kenyatta, and is not being paid any money. It doesn't work like that. That when Raila does it, it's fine. When Kalonzo does it, it's fine. When David does it, he's being paid money. We're going to live in this country through the same rules.
You said that you forced yourself into Kenya Kwanza.
Yes.
How's been the welcome?
I think good. I feel comfortable where I am. No one talks to me badly. Everyone believes that I'm a leader in my own right. And so the reason why I'm here today, proudly being Kenya Kwanza, is that I get my voice being heard whenever I feel I should be heard. Number two, and this is important, Sam, there is nobody in this country who can claim to be more of a custodian of opposition or minority right than others. There's nobody who can be telling us that he's the only one who can decide who should be in the opposition, who's in government. It can't be the role of Raila Odinga or Kalonzo Musyoka or Martha Karua to tell us what is right for opposition, what is right for government. And I can tell you this for sure, this chickenery, these lies that you hear today, we're going to come for them. We're going to make sure that young Kenyans' voices are being heard. We've been cheated for so long that if you join government on your own, you are wrong, you've been bought. If Raila joins government, he's fighting for you. If this gentleman joins government today, he's been bought. If Kalonzo joins government, he's doing it for you. They're not the only Kenyans. Kalonzo, Raila and Karua are not the only Kenyans. Kenyans know what is best for themselves. Okay. We're going to work on these lies.
Honorable Okello, when people keep living the Azimio,
I've said it in public.
the Azimio movement, are you spending some time to introspect and figure out what's wrong with your coalition?
Sam, allow me to delve into a matter or two just before I come to your question, because that is very critical to me. I think we are engaging in a very bad political hygiene, especially with this matter regarding church. Honorable Ochieng has said that whereas we have our public rallies, they only have one podium to respond to our advances, and that is the church. Of course, to them, coming up with the public rally is a very, very expensive endeavor. You saw truckloads, buses yesterday ferrying people to Nakuru for prayers, meaning that they cannot marshal a crowd unless they ferry. So that is why the only place, and Ochieng has confirmed, that they can respond to us is by way of going to church. Now, to me, church is a very sacred place. You know, this is a sanctuary. This is where spiritual matters are handled. This is where you talk to your Creator, asking for a positive response. But instead of doing so, they get into church to respond to what Right Honorable Raila Odinga stated in a public rally. And how our clergy has also been sunk into this thing by just allowing political undertones to be shared in a sanctuary, in a podium, where God's name should be invoked, leaves me baffled. But I think our members of the clergy must come to the realization that we go to church for spiritual nourishment. That church should be the responsibility of members of the clergy to take full control. And once politicians step forward, the clergy loses control of their own flock, of their own church. I listened to Brother Sonko, and you are right to say he's not here to defend himself. But when he was talking, and the response from the crowd is a testament that people had moved away from the element of Christianity. And I'm sad as a Christian seeing how the church is being devalued into such matters, Sam.
Now, get to the point of why people are leaving Azimio.
Right.
What is not going right?
MPs we've heard they're being bought, or and Ruto is saying he's trying to unite the country. I mean, how do you unite a country by dividing a country? Because he has not presented an official request from Azimio leadership that he would want to work with Azimio. But what he's doing is to, you know, pick one there, pick one here, pick Ochieng and company here. So that is not uniting a country, if that is exactly what Ruto meant with it. Ruto's party, Kenya Kwanza, up to now is the minority in parliament. It's the minority, and that is non-contestable.
But Honorable Okello, you know the ruling of Speaker Wetangula, 179 members, Kenya Kwanza, 150, is it 57?
And you want me to go with that, really?
No, that's what is operating.
I mean, that is Wetangula. That is Wetangula. My name is called Jared Okello, who has the privilege of seeing the documents signed by Ochieng and company as to how they can exit Azimio. So when a government uses its power to buy people on its side, and by the way, Ochieng said none of his people were bought. Ochieng was given a role in parliament as a member of the speaker's panel. That is what he negotiated.
Yes.
That means when the speaker is not in the house together with the deputy speaker, Ochieng becomes our speaker.
Honorable Okello, are there members from the minority side that are on the speaker's panel?
We have one.
Three.
Was he bought?
There are three.
I'm saying what Ochieng negotiated.
There are three.
Others are there as a matter of right. Ochieng negotiated when he joined Kenya Kwanza. Ochieng is only one member of parliament aligned to his political party. So therefore, he does not qualify to be anything unless he negotiates with the Kenya Kwanza. And that is what he negotiated. Yeah. And that is what he got. So this idea of people are not being bought, well, he was bought by a position. And that is why he's a member of the speaker's panel.
Interesting.
Now, coming to this idea of marshalling MPs towards Kenya Kwanza, you know, it is commonly said, show me your friend and I will tell you who you are. Now, in economics, they would say, show me your friend, I would tell you your net worth. Like, Sam, you're my friend, so I can tell you are close to where I am. And that is non-contestable, again. Anyhow, Ruto's friend in the whole world is called Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the president of Uganda, the everlasting president of Uganda. Now, how has he become everlasting president? By tinkering with Uganda's constitution. Every time they go into an election, he has to tinker certain clauses of the laws to allow him to run to become president. Ruto is angling to have absolute majority in the House, which is 2/3 of the composition of the House. Why does he want to do this? So that he can tinker with our constitution, change the laws that would allow him to become everlasting president of the Republic of Kenya. It is just that simple.
How do you know that?
Show me your friend, and I will tell you who you are and how you think. And I've ably said that...
tell me this, because you claim that you still have the documentation that says that MDG...
6 months. They can only exit 6 months after the election.
That's not,
but that's on paper. But when your own members, the Jubilee Party, a section of the members of parliament, have shifted their allegiance.
Correct.
I saw a threat that now they are going to de-whip Sabina Chege from her position as the minority whip, I think.
Oh, definitely.
But you can see, on paper they may be there, but in reality they are not there.
Yes, correct.
Is there something you're not doing or doing?
Well, that is the political hygiene I was talking about. People don't want to subscribe to the ideals of the coalitions that they come
This
from.
Okello that was supporting who last time,
but I want,
ODM.
but I want,
I mean, some we won't just allow him to do that.
I want to, you'll get your time. I want to say this. The rule of natural justice says you never condemn somebody unheard. 9 members of our ODM party met with the president last week. Now, they have received letters from the disciplinary committee of ODM so that they can also tell their side of the story.
Yeah.
You're not going to carry out public lynching of members of parliament without giving them an opportunity to explain why and how they took that kind of action. So I want to believe that ODM, being the party that respects the rule of law, and that is why we have written to them to come before us, will do what is right in the face of the law. Well, Ruto says he recognizes the opposition, but is the same person on a mission to raid the opposition and deny them their numbers. And this is more baffling. Ruto speaks with both sides of his mouth. Whereas he's raiding the opposition, he has also written to the Speaker of the National Assembly to see how they can midwife a constitutional change that brings in the office of the leader of opposition in the House. So he's raiding them, but at the same time saying, the few that will remain, you need a leader to guide you, as few as you will remain. Because remaining, I shall. So this is very interesting.
I hear you, Honorable Okello. You're the deputy minority leader of your coalition, which has been hemorrhaging. How many are you now?
We are still about 120 now.
120.
But we are 100% committed still to the cause. And I can say
are you sure they will not be shifting allegiance in the coming?
Sam, I believe that there are even some who've gone who might come back. Because, when they went, they said that they are going to get development. And when they walked out, the CS Treasury said there is no money for development.
Same
so
day.
I believe they are likely to come back because there is no development coming from there. But, some politicians have to be held to account for their actions. The political party's act is very clear. If you shift allegiance from your coalition, from your party, then obviously you have to seek fresh mandate from the people that elected you. Honorable Ochieng was elected in Ugenya. He told the people of Ugenya he's working with Raila Amolo Odinga in Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance. Immediately after the election, he defects, but he didn't go back to the people for them to confirm that defection.
But he didn't quit his party.
He quit the coalition that he was vying under.
He was elected on MDG.
Yes, but MDG under Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance. I was elected in Wiper under the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance.
So Wiper cannot shift from Azimio?
6 months, and that is based on the agreement that was there. 6 months have not lapsed.
3 months. You didn't sign the agreement.
But anyway, all the same, what I'm saying is this, that actually the fact is this. In Ugenya, the people of Ugenya elected David Ochieng on the understanding that he's working with Raila Amolo Odinga. And today he castigates Raila Amolo Odinga, but he cannot do that anywhere in Ugenya constituency. So it's not possible for us to speak when we are here. If I felt that I didn't want to work with the leadership that is ahead of me in the coalition, I would actually go back to Kathiani and tell them I want to seek fresh mandate and vie now under Kenya Kwanza. But now, of course, like we've had, David Ochieng has benefited from that defection. He is now in the speaker's panel. So I think we have to have hygiene in our politics. I think we need to start being honest as politicians and ensure that whatever we do is for the good of the people, not for the good of ourselves. Because, Sam, if the government was doing so well, then I would understand when members are defecting in troops to go and support the agenda. But they are doing so badly. Kenyans are in dire straits. Kenyans are suffering. Why would you go and join the people who are supposed to provide a solution and they have not done so far?
You said that you're going to take action against Sabina Chege.
Yes, you know, Sam, that's a no-brainer. You know, Sabina Chege right now is a deputy whip in the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition arrangement. So if she's gone to work with Kenya Kwanza, how is she going to whip us? Because in whipping in the House, it means that we want the position of our coalition to be supported. Yeah. So she says she's supporting the other side. I mean, it doesn't even need for us to de-whip her. She needed to have just resigned that office. Because by defecting, she's already left that office. So we'll just confirm someone else to continue that work.
Some have to say that all leadership positions in Parliament are negotiated. They are not bought. Mbui here is the deputy leader because Wiper negotiated within a Azimio framework that Jubilee Party will bring deputy leader with Sabina Chege, that Mbui here will be the deputy majority leader, I think.
Majority, thank you.
And these were negotiated within their party, their coalition framework.
Right.
The positions we hold in Parliament on the side of majority were negotiated, and these are in our agreements that we signed. They are not bought. And I think it's just being dishonest from my colleague to say that if you have a position in Parliament, I mean, the Speaker's panel has the Honorable Kaluma from Minority, the Honorable
Farah
Maalim from Wiper. Again, these were negotiated. These are not, and Honorable Nyamai from Jubilee Party. Yeah, these are not bought. These are, and Mbui knows it. He knows that he's gotten it twice because of the agreement they had with ODM that time. And so when he says that...
We had the agreement even before the election.
Number two, I mean, there's always...
And there's a communication.
There's always pre-election. There's always pre-election and post-election. The agreement you signed with Kenya Kwanza was post-election. And they know it. That's why you see them laughing cheekily. But the issue is this, Sam, that today, if Wiper joined Kenya Kwanza, we here will join Kenya Kwanza without asking a question. If ODM joined Kenya Kwanza today, Jared here will not even ask. If he asks, he will ask, we're asking us who. We've joined Kenya Kwanza. You have joined Kenya Kwanza. Come along.
And we'll throw you out. When we come there, you will be out.
Of course. And
we cannot promise you.
The reason they are mad with me is that I went ahead of them. The reason they are mad with this 9, for example, by the way. Sam, on this is very important. All over the world, presidents have an agenda to achieve. And you know, we refer so much to America, the UK, the president, the prime ministers in those countries. If they think they have an agenda, the member of parliament, they want to convince on an agenda, they do so. You've seen Biden meeting members of the Republican Party when there are issues to discuss. You saw Obama meeting members. It's done all the time if it's an agenda that needs to be discussed. And they don't call all the members of a party.
Okay.
They would call, for example, members they feel are open-minded, members that don't need to check their heads before they go into a discussion.
All right.
Well, you asked me a very good question.
No, which I've withdrawn.
No. I have to respond to it. Let me just quickly respond to it.
Honorable Kelo, you won't. The only minute I'll give is to Wandeto because he's been quiet for some time. Let's take a look at the feedback that has been coming to us via Citizen TV Kenya at Sam Gituku. The hashtag to use is Daybreak. This is Rev Harry. The reviewed budget policy is a game changer. Thus, let's give time to new government to fix cost of living for a long-term solution. Last will come to Nyayo Stadium for national prayers tomorrow. All right. Someone else. This is Engineer Lazaro. President Ruto should stop wooing opposition members and concentrate on addressing biting issues. Any leader who will work tirelessly to fight inflation, biting drought, and rising cost of living will be the man to watch. Okello Mwalimu, those MPs who have developed high appetite for trooping to State House should avoid hoodwinking us that such visits are centered around development, and they, the ones who make budgets, have the two arms of government been merged, or has Parliament been relocated to State House? Some questions there. Okello Mwalimu, as parliamentary sessions resume, MPs should be reminded that Kenyans are looking forward to living much bearable lives. Instead of furthering political ambitions of their godfathers and godmothers, they must prioritize proper bills. All right, Godi Baraza, the current state of affairs in the country has slowly drifted to pure combative politics. Credible service delivery has been ejected through the window, and now the stage has been set for Kenya Kwanza and Azimio to flex their muscles. Sad. Wow, quite mixed views there. Then Eunice Gitongori, hapo kwa wabunge Azimio wanaongea ukweli, but yafaa waamini eti serikali ya Kenya Kwanza ndio iko kwa mamlaka liwe liwalo, iwe walitumia njia ipi, lakini Daktari Ruto ndiye rais wa Kenya kikatiba. Wandeto, in less than a minute, does it make you a better parliamentarian to belong to the majority side?
Yes, of course it does, because then I'm able to basically articulate government agenda. Because, you know, the government of the day is the one that basically runs the country, is the one that is in charge of economic policy, is the one that is in charge of people welfare, is basically the one that is in charge of development in the country. So by being on that side, by being on the government side, then you have an opportunity to basically be able to contribute to motions of the government that basically then are more likely to be implemented.
Okay.
Of course, the opposition, their work is to critique what comes. They also play a very, very important role, because when the government says we want to go this direction, the opposition basically critiques it and helps us to get a more clear way forward. But being in the government, then of course it helps you to basically be able to drive the agenda.
To give you a clearer way forward, but the fewer the better.
The fewer the better.
Okay. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Jared Okello, David Ochieng, Robert Mbui, and Geoffrey Wandeto for making time for us of this conversation here on The Break. It continues after the break with Sporty Monday. My name is Sam Gituku. Bye for now. Very interesting reviews that we'll be waiting to hear from Raburu and Co. Stay tuned.